most of the times people don't usually talk about when it comes to lessons from the life of the Prophet. So inshallah, I hope that will benefit all of us. So to begin with, I wanted to talk about the importance of having prophetic examples. I know that especially in our society, there is some people have the opinion that when you have the Quran, why do we necessarily need the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? And there's a growing community of people who actually believe that the Quran is sufficient for them. And of course the Quran is sufficient for us, but if Allah sends a messenger, then of course there is a purpose for that. And part of that is to teach us as human beings how we're supposed to implement the Quran and how we can learn from how another human being managed to excel in terms of being a Muslim. So of course he was the mercy to mankind. He is the best of example and has the best noble character. And as the brother before me did say, character is everything in Islam. If you don't have character, irrespective of how pious you may be, without character really it has no effect. So our deen is character, and inshallah today we'll learn more about how to implement good character in terms of our daily lives. So, the first lesson is the importance of knowledge and acting upon it. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, having received the revelation from the Quran, from the angel, despite the fact that he was afraid and he was really scared. I mean, you can imagine you and I, a figure that you've never ever seen before in your life appears to you and starts dictating to you to start, to recite. What are you going to do? You're in a space where you're on your own, it's dark, it's lonely, and you can't call for help. So the fact that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced that frightful event on that day and still went home to his wife and acted upon that, it should really be an example for us to say that irregardless of what we go through in life, no matter how difficult it may be, no matter how scary it may be, no matter how much people might think we're crazy and we're out of our minds, I mean, subhanAllah, going home to your wife and saying to your wife, I've seen this figure and this figure says, I need to obey Allah and I am now a prophet. Most people are going to think you're crazy. So there will be times in life when we go through certain things that don't make sense to other people. But it's really a lesson to say that we have to conquer that and we have to remain firm upon the message that we have been given to take on board, which is the message of Islam. So a question that I wanted to ask is, whose responsibility do you think it is to teach us about Islam? And it's not a rhetorical question, so please give an answer. Whose responsibility is it? Ourselves, exactly. Some people may hold the view that, well, it's your parents' responsibility and all the community around you, yes, to a certain degree, but once you get to a certain age, it is your responsibility. So if there's something about the deen that you feel as though you don't know or you don't understand, you have to take the step, forward to go and search for that knowledge. And knowledge without action is dead. Because no matter what you do, however much knowledge you hold, if you don't put it into practice, again, it doesn't get to show itself in terms of your character until you put it into practice. So remember that whatever knowledge you have, until you begin to put it into practice, that knowledge is dead. And in fact, that knowledge would be evidence against you on the day of judgment. So be mindful. And sometimes people get scared, like that's why I don't want to seek knowledge, because I'm afraid that, well, what if I know this and then I don't practice it? Then, well, it will be a waste against me, so I'd rather not know. But ignorance in itself is another disease, and you would rather have knowledge instead of remaining in ignorance. So seek knowledge, know that it is your responsibility to seek knowledge, and try your best to implement it in your daily lives. So I wanted to ask a question just to get you guys thinking. What type of knowledge do you think that you have acquired that you haven't acted upon? And I think we all have this. It's not just one thing. It's probably a lot of things that yeah, I know that, but do you act upon it? No. So just bear in mind that in life, everything that you acquire in terms of knowledge, whether it be related to the deen or just related to life in general, if it will be of benefit to you and you're not acting upon it, then it doesn't get to show in your character. So building character is acquiring knowledge and also applying and implementing that knowledge. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the fact that his wives could, bear witness to the fact that he was a living Quran, like he implemented the Quran was his life. That's how we should be, and that's a lesson for us to take, to realize that no matter how much knowledge you have, if you don't act upon it, it makes no difference. So that's one of the lessons of the lives of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I think is very much important for us to use, especially to keep in mind, inshallah. Okay, so as the brother said earlier on, he told us a story about when the angel appeared to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how he ran to his wife, Khadija. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. I know when the brother asked, who is married amongst us, there was barely anyone, but it does give us the lesson that, inshallah, for this audience particularly, when we do get married, we really need to be looking for spouses who are supportive and would reassure us. Sometimes your trial in life could be having a spouse who is not supportive, especially when you're trying to grow and develop as a person. And this particular stage in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the transitional stage for him. That's when he's going from not believing in Allah, well, not that he didn't believe in Allah, but not having Islam to becoming a prophet. And the fact that Khadija radiallahu anha wasn't a Muslim per se at that time yet, but yes, she could reassure her husband and say, you are a good person, there is no way that God would ever harm you or bring any harm to you. Again, it just demonstrates that when we are looking for a spouse, whether it be a husband or a wife, this is a quality that we should look into in our spouses. Another interesting thing that I found just looking through the story of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is how interesting it was that him becoming a prophet was linked to Khadija radiallahu anha. Because after he came to her and he told her what he saw, she took him to her uncle, who then interpreted what had happened and confirmed that he was a prophet. And so when you think about that, you realize how Allah has a plan for absolutely everything that he does. It wasn't a coincidence that Khadija radiallahu anha asked the Prophet's hand in marriage and that they got married. Irregardless of the fact that at that time they weren't Muslim, like there wasn't a label for what they were. Allah had it all planned out because it would be the uncle of Khadija radiallahu anha who would then confirm to the Prophet that he was the Prophet. Because when he saw that, he really didn't know what it meant. He was in a state of fright. So again, it's just showing us that when we make the right decisions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always find a way to support us, for us to inevitably become what He wants us to become. All of us have different destinies, as the brother has said before, and none of us know our destinies. We know what we are today, but we don't know what we will become tomorrow. And again, it's an example of the fact that if you choose a spouse, if you look carefully at the quality in terms of the spouse that you're looking for, they could be a means of blessings for you, and they could be a means of Allah elevating you to the station that He wants you to be. So again, another excellent example of a really righteous wife, and a lesson to us sisters that we should try, inshallah, or aim to be really supporting wives to our husbands. But at the same time as well, that husbands should learn how to be honest and truthful, because had it not been for the qualities that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had, there's no way Khadija would be saying that type of stuff. But stuff for Allah. If he was to be the type of man who was untrustworthy, he lied all the time, he just did whatever he wanted, you can't expect to then come home and tell your wife this crazy story and think that she's going to reassure you. So it's a lesson for all of us to learn in terms of having supportive spouses and choosing our spouses carefully, since most of us here are not married today. Okay. Another lesson looking at the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is that people don't determine your status, Allah does. So, after he had gone to his people and revealed to them that he was a prophet, and most of them rejected him, the Prophet Muhammad was called a liar, they called him a magician, they called him a poet, a fortune teller, and people gave him this, or his enemies, let's say, gave him this really bad name, the dispraiseworthy, instead of his name Muhammad, the praiseworthy. Just to mock him and just to basically try and bring him down because of this message that he was giving. People calling him a fortune teller, a liar, a poet, because of this one story, which is true, that he had come to tell them that an angel had come to me, and that angel has revealed to me that I am a prophet and you should obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And their response was giving him that name in order to try to degrade the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. However, when you look into that section of the Seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will see that irregardless of the title that people may give him, whilst having a title in life is good, it might make you feel good, that people think well of you, but we have to remember that there will always still be people who don't think well of us. There will still be people who will backbite us. There will be people who will hate you for absolutely no reason. The evil eye is true. It actually happens. There will be people who will be jealous of you for one reason or another. There will be people who will mock you. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through all of that to teach us that the fact that we are Muslims doesn't give us a pass to think that we're just going to have this excellent life and we're never going to face trials. Guys, trust me, the trials are coming, and when they come, they knock you out. They literally knock you out. The older you get, the stronger your iman is, the more the difficulty of the trial really impacts you, and you realize that you are in this world to be tested, and there's no two ways about it. You barely finish going through one trial and another one comes and hits you again. And you're barely getting over that and another one comes and hits you again. And such is the life of the believer. A few days ago I had a sister who messaged me and said, Nafisa, you're doing what I wish that I could do. You know, your life seems so easy. And I said to her, don't get it twisted with social media. People show you what they want you to see. It's the highlight reel. It's not the real. I said to her, if Allah has shown you my destiny and asked you to go through the trials I've had to go through the last 10 years, you will say no thank you. Regardless of what you see on social media, you will say no thank you. Because it was that deep. And I said to her, you need to be very, very careful the persona that you allow yourself to take in and feel as though your life is so bad and everybody else's life is amazing. Because in our generation, social media is showing you 21-year-old buying cars, buying massive houses, owning all of these crazy things, and you're sitting there thinking, I'm just trying to even get through my degree. I don't have anything yet. And you start to feel as though you're less than because you're not where they are at. As the brother said before, everyone has their own destinies, and be very, very careful of social media. Social media can make you or break you. And I'm referring to social media because that is what I feel like relates to us as youth today, because that's one of the ways in which we gain information, and it's made it so much more easier for us to see other people's lives in their highlight reel. No one likes to hang their dirty laundries outside for everyone to see. Nobody's going to tell you, last night I was crying in my bed because of X, Y, and Z happened. They're going to come on camera, it's going to be smiley faces, it's going to be all happy, and you're going to think, this person's happy all the time. How? This person has deen, and mashallah, they're always on point. How? Why am I not like that? Nobody's always on point. And again, moving back to this, you will always have enemies. But that is why it's very, very important for you to seek refuge in Allah from things like the evil eye and those who elevate you higher than your status. Again, people don't determine your status, Allah determines your status. Irregardless of how much you might be praised in this dunya for one thing or another, if Allah doesn't see you in that same light, it doesn't mean nothing. Because Because there are people who have gained fame and fortune in this dunya, but you look at them in terms of the hereafter, and Allah knows best where they're going to end up, but it's not looking good. So I just wanted to remind us youths of this lesson that people don't determine your status. So no matter where we get in life as well, it helps to keep us humble. To know that, yes, it may be that Allah has sent that love, so the righteous ones will have that same love in their heart for you, because Allah loves you, but at the same time, you will still have people who will try to bring you down. But you cannot then decide that this is too much. When you begin to go through the trials and you begin to experience how difficult and painful they can be, you can't then just say, this whole Islam thing, I can't do it anymore, it's too much. My friends who don't believe in Allah and all of that, they're living the life. They do what they want. They go out, they drink, they do whatever with girls. They're just living, they're not dying, they don't have bad diseases. Nothing bad is happening to them. So why am I here going through all of these for what? And a lot of youth just decide to just give up altogether because it's just like, you know what, it's too much. I still believe in Allah, and the deen is in my heart. The famous quote, yeah, deen is in my heart. If deen is in your heart, it should show in your character. It should show in your behavior. What you do is as a result of what is truly deeply in your heart. And that is why when I say that, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, on social media you see people like sisters taking off the hijab, sisters doing whatever, and brothers just have no haya. Brothers have no haya, sisters have no haya, everyone's just doing whatever they want because, why? Fame and fortune and money. And at the end of the day, you can gain all of that. But what's going to happen when you're in your grave, all on your own? All of those people who encouraged you to do wrong, like, yeah, come join me, let's go link up these girls, let's go do this, that. You're not going to see them. They will disassociate themselves from you. They will say, I didn't tell you to join me, you just decided to. You go and join gangs, and people are taking people's lives nowadays like it doesn't mean nothing. Life is nothing. How can one person get stabbed over 20 times? The psychological aspect of it, you think, how does a human being stab another human being 20 times and don't stop? Human beings nowadays, I'm telling you, the way they are going, they're probably outdoing the jinns in terms of evil. Because there is no mercy. There is no fear. Life doesn't mean anything. If someone so much as looks at me in the wrong way, watch. And so, remembering that as Muslims, we're not going to have it all. I'm going to tell you guys this. If there's one thing you remember from this message today, that sticks with you for the rest of your life, and inshallah one day you look forward and remember that I said this, is that trials don't leave you. They don't leave you. Until you enter that gate of Jannah, you are in a continuous sea of trials. As soon as you get over one, you go to another. And what that is doing is not to punish us. What that is doing is developing you. So you go from, you're here, you start and your trials are a bit light. Then it gets harder, then it gets harder. And the more you pass them, the higher of a ranking you achieve. Jannah is not just one place. People talk about Jannah like it's just one level, everyone just enters and it's just like a room like this. Jannah has levels. And when we aspire to get into Jannah, we shouldn't just be like, Alhamdulillah, I mean, if I get into any of the places in Jannah, I'll be happy because I'm not in hell. But if I can get to a higher place in Jannah, why shouldn't I? And it all comes from knowing that our purpose in this life is ultimately to worship Allah, however you choose to do it. Yes, there are certain ways that we do it, praying Salah, fasting, Ramadan, all of that. But even working, like the brother said earlier, working, that in and of itself can be an act of worship because you earn a halal income and you use it to take care of your family and to take care of yourself so that you are not a beggar. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he disapproved of us begging. We shouldn't have to go to someone and beg them because the hand that gives is better than the hand that receives. So if you can, aspire to achieve something better and you can, inshallah, earn a halal income, and I will talk about examples of Sahabas who were rich, later on in the presentation. If you can earn that and you can use it in a way of good, wallahi, it is your blessing and your gift, and you should go for it. So back onto this, people don't determine who you are. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. So in everything that we do, remember that. And life is very, very short.